Hello and thank you for watching. I'm Jennifer with Olympia Piano, and this is video number 2 in the Clair de Lune study guide series. My nice vintage score of Clair de Lune. Anyway, I'm creating this series to cover areas of Clair de Lune that I get a lot of questions on when I teach this piece. So it's organized a little bit differently than a full tutorial. Let's say I'm not going to go over every single note, every single rhythm, every single dynamic, but rather just focus on one or two elements of the piece in each of the videos. So then when all of the videos are complete, you can move around between the videos if you want to check certain things. And then also within each video, you'll have timestamps so you can move around through that video as well. So thank you for being here. We're going to get started with today's video, which is how to practice the rhythm. Video number 1 introduced the rhythm in the meter. Now we're going to put it into practice. And I'm going to give you a 4-part practice technique. So before we get started, let me tell you what the practice strategy is. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to write in the counts for the section in question with 1 and a, 2 and a. Then we'll play that part counting out loud. Practice strategy number 2 is to put the metronome on an 8th note. So in essence, where the 1 and a, 2 and a would be. So you get used to playing with the metronome. Step 3 is to put the metronome on a big beat. So there will just be 3 clicks per measure. And then step 4 is no metronome. We'll get started with measures 1 through 4. All right, here we go. We're going to start just counting out loud. And you see I've written in the beats there. The only thing I want to draw your attention to is just remember that in this measure here, these second notes are going to go after the and. All right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 Now, we'll do the exact same thing. We're just going to replace the counting out loud with the metronome. And the metronome is set at 90. So each 8th note subdivision will be on a click of 90. Ready, and 1. So hopefully in measure 3, you allowed the metronome to click twice before playing that second 8th note with the 2 over it. Measure 3. Click, click, play, click, 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 play, click. The third thing we're going to do is we're going to put the metronome on the big beat, so only on the numbers. So in your mind, you are feeling where those subdivisions are. And just make sure to hold the long notes long enough. The metronome will be set at 50 for this portion, so this is more like your performance tempo. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Now we'll play it with no metronome, similar speed to that, but you might have a little more flexibility in your pacing. 1, 2, 3, 1. Hopefully that went well for you. You can use that same technique all the way through measure 14, and it's just kind of mix and match the rhythm on this page. When people bring this piece to me, I usually encounter 2 errors. The first being not playing the 8th notes with the 2s over them correctly, playing them too fast, not understanding how that rhythm works. And then the second is not holding the long notes long enough. So if you have a dotted quarter note, that has to be 3 subdivisions. And if you have a dotted half note, that needs to be 6 subdivisions. All right, so we're going to go on and go to measures 15 and 16, employing that exact same technique, and then you can transfer that. Okay, we'll do counting first. Remember that the second note of the twos comes after the and. 3 and 1 and tie and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and Okay, metronome, tiny bit faster. 3 and up. So again, for those twos, you're going to have 2 clicks before you play the second note of the 2. So 2 clicks here. So we'd have click, click, play, click, 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 play, click, and similarly, click, click, play, click, 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 click. Okay, then we have metronome equals 50, so that's your big beats. You only have clicks on 1, 2, and 3 here. 1, 2, 3, and And then the final one is no metronome. Up above you see tempo rubato. That means a lot of push and pull. So once you have internalized that rhythm that we worked on with the metronome, then you can go faster and slower within those big beats. That would sound like this. You can use that same technique for the next 2 measures. And then let's go over measures 19 and 20, which the rhythm will be the same for 21, 22, and 23, 24, although 24 has a few more notes in it. So we'll go over next 19 and 20. If you watch that first video, you might remember that these notes had the little 6 underneath. So these are the slower eighth notes, where with the counting, the second one of them comes after the and, equal to 3/16 notes each of these. And then we have the regular 9/8 subdivision here in measure 20. Okay, so we'll start with the counting out loud. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and Metronome equals 90. 3 and up. Click, click, play, click, 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 play, click. Metronome equals 50. 3, 1. And then the one with no metronome. 1, 2, 3. So now let's look at measure 27. I just want you to notice that this is still in subdivisions of 3, even though sometimes there's 2 notes in the right hand, sometimes there's 3. It should always feel like 1 and 2 and 3 and if you take a look at the right hand melody, you'll see those stems up. That's 2 beats and then a quarter note, 3 and with the 8th notes. So it should always have that triple flow to it. So let's go ahead and do this. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Metronome equals 90. 3 and up. Metronome equals 50 for the big beat. 2, 3. finally, no metronome. Take a little bit more time over the bar line here. 1, 2, 3. Next, we have measure 33. We went over this quite a bit in video number 1. Main point being, this is not faster. So I'm just going to do the 4 steps with this measure, okay? We'll start with the counting out loud. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Okay, metronome equals 90. Really listen for where those clicks are occurring. 3 and up. Metronome equals 50 for the big beat. 2, 3. And finally, no metronome. 1, 2, 3. The next little rhythm spot we're going to take a look at is measure 37. And I want to just draw your attention to the fact that it's still staying in that feel of 3 beats to the subdivision. So 1 and 2 and 3 and even though we've got these little groups of 3/16 notes. So oftentimes people will play, I'm exaggerating by the way, but we want to have all the 16th notes kind of flow and then keep that joyful 1 and 2 and 3 and So let's just go over that with the counting. 3 and up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Metronome equals 90. 3 and up. Then metronome equals 50. And finally, no metronome. 2, 3. Okay, now please go to measure 47. Sometimes people have trouble lining this up correctly, so I've written in the beats there. Let's give this a play. 3 and up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Okay, metronome equals 90, same spot. 3 and up. Metronome equals 50 to the big beat. 2, 3. And no metronome. Now measures 51 and 52. This is where the main melody comes back. The biggest issue I encounter here is not holding the long notes long enough. So let's focus on that. We'll start with counting out loud first. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and So it's very slow. Here's metronome equals 90, and notice I like to use the soft pedal in this section, so you might hear a slightly different color. 3 and 3 clicks, 3 clicks. Then switch to 50 for the big beat. 2, 3. Finally, no metronome. 2, 3. All right, we're gonna look at measure 65 next. And if you notice up above, you see I've added a little 2 for that first beat in the left hand. There should be a 2 in that. So it's 1 and Let's do it with the counting first. 1 and 2 and 3 and Metronome equals 90, 3 and Next is metronome equals 50, 3 and finally no metronome. It'll be getting a little slower at this point. Okay, our final spot is the very, very end, and the issue is that many people don't take these last 2 beats and make these notes twice as slow. We're going to be slowing down all the way to the end. So I'm only going to do this one with the counting out loud and then the metronome as 90, because the way that I'm going to suggest that you play is slow down, keep slowing, keep slowing, keep slowing. So let's go ahead and do that. 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and Now with the metronome equals 90, we're only doing this to make sure that each of these notes here are long enough. But you're actually going to play it even slower than I'm playing, but not faster, okay? 3 and Now let's play it with it really fading and getting slower. So what that means is these subdivisions are going to get longer and longer. So final way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and off. So I hope that went well for you, and please leave me any questions if you have them in the comments. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the other study guide series. You can also mention my channel or share with others who might enjoy this detailed type of teaching. And if you found it extremely helpful, you can even donate to the channel either through PayPal, the information is in the description, or with the YouTube Super Thanks, which is at the bottom of your video screen. You'll see a bunch of buttons: share, save, thanks. That's where that is. So every donation I receive allows me to a lot more time to create more videos like this. I'd love to know where you're from, so please leave that for me in the comments, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. As always, thank you for watching.